Today I'm going to be talking about a career killer. This is a communication habit that will just stall your career wherever it is. It is one of those things that really bothers me and upsets me as a communications expert, because I understand this habit is not coming from a place of poor communication. It's coming from a place of communication or conversation anxiety. Now, what I'm talking about here is the habit of over-explaining. Instead of making your point and moving on to the next point, what you do is you make your point and then you go back and you add more and you add more and you add more and you add more and you explain and explain and explain the life out of this point. Now, I've noticed in my experience, this comes about in people where they've been in a power differential with somebody else. So this person here has had someone above them in a more senior or more important or more powerful position. And the communicator down here has felt that every time they're in a conversation, a discussion with this other person, the person in the more powerful position ends up judging them, misunderstanding them, or simply just minimizing what they're saying. So the person in the lower position, their default, their defense, is to start pouring out as many facts and over justifications and context and details, etc., in order to wall off any attacks from the other person. So today I'm going to give you 4 ways that you can kill this over-explaining for once and for all. But more importantly, I beg you stay to the end. I have a drill for you to do that will completely open your eyes and move you so much quicker to stopping that silly habit, that horrible habit of over-explaining. Hello friends, and welcome back. Today I'm talking, as I said, all about over-explaining. So I wanted to start off, before we get to the 4 clear steps, I wanted to start off with the definition so we're all on the same page. Over-explaining. This is when someone provides excess or unnecessary details, justification, or context that is far and beyond what is required for someone to understand their point. So this, as I said, is when you make your point and then you go back and back and back at it instead of just explaining it and walking away. So I want to jump in with the 4 steps. The first step, and this is critical, is a mind shift. It's not something I can coach you on as in a verbal skill or non-verbal skill. It's something you have to shift in your own mind. And this is trust your listeners. Now, I know this is hard because I've just explained this. Over-explaining often comes around when the person doing the over-explaining feels as though they're being misjudged or, minimized by someone else in a conversation. So you're then thinking it's hard to trust that person, but that's exactly what you must do. So just when you walk in there and you know so much about your topic, or you know so much about that area and you've so much to offer, so in your mind you want to provide all this knowledge because you have the intellect, you have the intelligence, you need to trust that your listener is equally as intelligent, equally intellectual. So when you make your point and you stop, you don't go back at it and back at it, you then need to trust that if the listener has any questions or something is unclear or vague to them, or they simply require more information, you need to trust they will ask you that. And you need to trust yourself that you can answer them because you have all the knowledge up there. You know you do. You know your subject. You are a subject expert. You're very knowledgeable about this area. Maybe just very passionate about this area. So like you trust yourself to come up with the answers and have that information, you need to trust that they do not need to be spoon-fed every detail. Give them what's important and then let them come back with questions if they had them. Okay, trust your listener. The second one is the pause. And this is the pause where you take that pause before you speak. Now, I've talked about pausing so much, but this is the pause where you take a pause and you figure out what is absolutely necessary to share. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but for people who have this love of information and they want to share their knowledge and they're excited or they're really, really passionate about a topic and they've got so much that they want to give to the people around them, a lot of the time they can't pick one thing. But the problem is that makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. So if you pause before you answer and in that brief break, just think to yourself, what is absolutely necessary to share? In other words, if I only got to share one point and then I was cut off and couldn't say anything else, what would that one point be? So you make that point, back it up, substantiate it, whatever you need to do, explain it, elaborate it, and then stop. Don't go back and back and back at it. But you need to do the heavy lifting. You need to make that decision. I don't have the opportunity to share everything under the sun I know about this. I need to do the hard work of picking one clear point. Okay? One clear point. The third one is becoming okay with silence. And again, this is so hard for people who do have that conversational communication anxiety, because sitting with what we all call dead air or still air can be very uncomfortable for people. It can really raise their stress levels just to sit, because you feel as though you should be saying something and there's silence and all eyes are on you and the whole thing feels very, very unsettling and uncomfortable for you. But becoming comfortable, even becoming confident in those silent moments, is the way you set yourself up for a great discussion with the person and you stop yourself from over-explaining. So once you've made your point and there is silence for a few seconds because people might be processing that, thinking what they want to ask, unpacking what you said, there is going to be silence. There's quite likely going to be silence. You need to just be able to sit in it calmly, choose calm body language, just breathe it through and wait for the question or the follow-up to come. Fight the urge to jump in and fill that dead air. What I always recommend here for clients and people is that you practice this silence with friends. So even in a regular dinner conversation, or you're out with friends, or you're with a group of colleagues having a casual lunch, I want you to get accustomed to, after you've spoken, or there's quiet air, maybe you weren't even speaking, and there's a bit of a break, there's a bit of a lull. When you feel your stress rising and you're like, somebody's got to say something here, don't. Just press your lips together and take that breath and learn to sit in that silence for a minute. It is such a powerful thing to do, and it is one of the key ways to cut back on the urge to over-explain. The fourth one, and this is something, gosh, I think we've all had to learn this at some point of our lives, and that is, don't answer questions that haven't been asked. People who have a tendency to over-explain will be asked a question, and instead of just listening to the question and giving the exact information that answers that question, they will answer the question and 50 times as much. And I'll give you an example. I had to attend a conference a little while back, and because of the timing on the morning of the conference, all the starts and we had to sign in, we had agreed the previous evening, the group of us, that we would need to meet in the breakfast room at 7 in the morning in order to set the day up properly. As we were ending the evening and breaking and going back to our own spaces, one person asked another person, so are we meeting at 7 o'clock? That's all this person asked. He asked of this person, are we meeting at 7 o'clock? Well, this person then went into a 25-minute explanation of why we needed to meet at 7 o'clock, because the bus was coming at 8 and we had to sign in and we had to get our seats and this whole thing. And I could see the person who had asked the question, their eyes just glazed over and they were almost like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to know if it was 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. So that is an example of answering a question that hasn't even been asked. I urge you to practice this in this coming weekend and the weekend ahead. Pay attention to the questions people ask you, even if in your own family, and make sure that you're only answering what gets asked. It really is a skill. I'm going to give you an insider tip before the drill. The insider tip, and I'll cover this quickly, is that one of the quickest ways we can reinforce a good habit is by catching ourselves doing the poor habit. So when you're in the poor habit, instead of just saying, I wasn't going to eat the cookie at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but here I am eating it and finish. No, if you catch yourself after 2 bites and say, wait a minute, I didn't think I was going to do this, and you throw the cookie in the bin, the biscuit in the bin, that's extremely powerful because you're sending yourself that brain, you're sending your brain that message. So if you're in a situation where you get into the over-explaining and it dawns on you, oh my goodness, I want you to just finish that sentence, stop and say something along the lines of, I'll leave it at that. Okay? Or finish your sentence, pause and say, I think that covers it. Right? Just say it in a gentle way. I guarantee people will respect you so much for the fact that you reined yourself in. And wow, you are sending your brain such a powerful message. I'm not going to do this again. The drill is fun. I want you to think about an area that you are enormously knowledgeable about. It doesn't have to be in your work life. In fact, it might not even be your work life. It could be making sourdough bread or growing tomatoes or washing a car, or it could be part of your work, very complex thing you have to do in your work, but it needs to be something you are incredibly knowledgeable about. Then I want you to take your phone and I want to record yourself for 1 minute. And in that 1 minute, you need to cover the absolutely essential elements of that area you know so much about. So if you're an absolute fundi at knowing how to make perfect sourdough bread, right? But it's 50 steps and 30 different things you've got to use. Take your phone and see if you can convey the essential information in 1 minute. Then go back and listen to yourself and see, what did I include? What did I leave out? Where did I go on? Where was I short? Evaluate yourself. Just listen to yourself and start to see your areas for improvement. It is one of the most illuminating things to do. Thank you so much for your time. If this has been of help to you, please give it a thumbs up. And if you can consider subscribing, that would mean so much to me. And it grows our community so we can all learn together. Again, thank you for your valuable time. And I will see you next week.
All eyes on me, I shine with everything.